Right, live. So it's Russ here, and it's UFO Paranormal TV and Flying Saucer Television. And I have got Andrew Radwitz, who is he's down here. And I was when I was looking at this not earlier today, but earlier on in the week, a psychic firefighter and a friend, Rowan, basically said, sort of like told us about you, if that's all right to say, and
Yeah, of course.
a few other people as well that had mentioned, because we do obviously paranormal, also every aspect and what have you. So, Andrew, welcome to the show. And so, what got you started in this? I suppose it's an ability, sort of like a psychic ability. For all us that are ignorant,
Yeah.
explain to us and tell us exactly what it is. And how did you come to start in this?
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. And it's always great to share my story with people in different countries. Right now, I'm in Melbourne, Australia, and you're in the UK. So I'm actually in the moment. If people have Blaze TV in the UK, you can watch a docu-series that I'm in. It's called Close Encounters Down Under, which
Right.
that's more of the UFO stuff, which is
Yeah.
part of this story too. But for
Right.
me, I got into this through watching. There was a show on TV called Unsolved Mysteries, and that was on in like the 90s, 80s, and 90s. And I used to watch that, and I'd say to my grandmother, who I'd watch it with, I would say, Graham, I said, one day when you go to heaven, when you go to the afterlife, and you're okay, can you promise that you'll come back and give me a sign? But I don't want to see like a bird feather or a coin. I want something real significant. I need to know 100% that you're okay, like they do on, Unsolved
Yeah.
Mysteries. I want to see something wow like that. So at that time, I was about 13. So that's like 1993 when I said that to my grandmother. Now, prior to that, I did not know that I was psychic, nothing like that. I lived a regular life. Yes, I had some strong intuition. Yes, I've seen some shadow figures, some beings, some lights in the sky, but I didn't put it all together yet. At the time, I just thought, oh, well, everyone sees stuff, right? Like other kids or other adults, yeah, they have to see weird things once in a while, but no one really talks about it. It's just like on TV, on Unsolved Mysteries. That's it. So you fast forward down to 18 years later, and my grandmother passes away. She had skin cancer on the outside of her face. It spread. She was 83. She had a tough battle at the end. So I forgot about the time that I had said to her, in 93, hey, can you come through when you pass away and go to heaven? So she passes away. And about 3 weeks later, I take my mom out to eat. We go to a restaurant in town, right where I grew up. And we're eating dinner. And this guy comes up to us and he's got earrings in, like literally like 6 earrings in his ear. He's got long hair, a black leather jacket, big guy, comes up to us and he goes, someone in your family just died and they had cancer on the outside of their face. I go, yeah. So I'm thinking, who the heck is this guy? I don't know him. And
Yeah.
he's talking about my grandmother. Like she literally just passed away 3 weeks prior. So I'm thinking, did somebody in the restaurant send this guy over as a joke? I don't know what's going on. And he says, oh, I'm a psychic medium and I'm doing a reading of the whole restaurant. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I get what's going on. But prior to that, I never got read. I didn't know anything about what that was like. So I'm like listening to the guy and he says, and which one of you or mom, who was born on Easter Sunday? And my mom was born on Easter Sunday in 1954. So I'm like, all right, man, this guy nailed two things. This is pretty good, man. Nobody would know that. Nobody would know my mom was born on that date in 1954. That's so specific. But then he started telling me real specific, odd things that people wouldn't know. He says to me, he goes, you have a relative and she died, and she was buried in a christening dress, and her name was Emma or Emily, something at EM sounding. So I'm like, no, I didn't know at the time. I'm like, no, I don't think so. So he told us a couple other things that were accurate. So we leave the restaurant. I go back to my mom's house. I'm in her living room, and there's an old painting on the wall of a little girl in a white dress. So I go, Mom, I go, that's you, right? She goes, no. She goes, Andrew, that's Aunt Emma, but she died over 100 years ago. I didn't even know her. So I was like, holy moly, man. Like, how could that guy know that? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I go, Mom, I thought that was you. I told everyone growing up, oh, look at my mom as a baby, right? She's beautiful. She goes, yeah, she goes, no, Andrew, I just looked like her. So they gave me the photo, and I kept it in in
Yeah.
my family. I'm like, holy crap. So at the time, don't get me wrong, I'm skeptical. I'm still thinking, I don't know about this guy. Maybe somebody paid him. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
everything else except it's real, that it's real psychic work going on. So I wait a year. I track the guy down, and I wasn't on social media. I wasn't following the guy on social media, nothing like that. I just found him in a phone book, old fashioned, went to his office a year later. I recorded it. So I still have the recording. He reads me, and I sit with him, and he tells me all different things about my family, real specific things. Like, I have a distant relative that lives way down in south part of America that works in the funeral industry. And I didn't know this, but he said, when your grandmother died, you have a relative that works in the funeral industry who made a phone call to your grandmother's funeral home. So you're talking, I'm in New York. My cousin that's in the funeral industry lives in South Florida. And he didn't tell me this. I didn't know this. The psychic told me this for the first time. He said, your cousin called up to the funeral home that your grandmother was taken care of and that buried her from. And he made a call to make sure that they did some extra things and sent X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I have no idea. I never heard that. Well, I found out that's true. He did that. I found this out, after. I'm like, holy moly, man. So at the end of the reading, and I had this on recording, everything. At the end of the reading, the guy says to me, he goes, Andrew, you have this. I said, no, have what? He goes, you have the gift. I said, what gift? I'm a New York City firefighter, bro. Like, what, psychic? He goes, yeah. I go, bro, I'm like 31 years old, man. I'm not a psychic. I'm good, man. I'm a firefighter. Like, that's it. That's my career. He goes, no, no, no. He goes, you can do this. I go, all right. You tell everyone that, right? He goes, no, no, no. He goes, you can do this though. He goes, you're getting messages, you're seeing things. I go, yeah, maybe. He goes, well, I can help you interpret the signs that you see. I said, okay, show me then. He goes, come here on the weekend and I'll show you. So I went to his office on a Saturday, and every Saturday from 9 until noon, he would hold a 3-hour training class. And it only costs $20 for 3 hours of training from a real medium. So the first class was free. If you like it, cool, you can come back. If you don't have to come back. I go there on a Saturday. I'm in the room with about 20 plus people. We sit, he talks for a little bit, we meditate for about 5 minutes, and then he sits me knee to knee with someone like you or someone that I've never met. I didn't know anyone in the room. Nobody. No one looked familiar. No, nothing at all. I'm not wearing any firefighting stuff, nothing. I'm just going in plain clothes. I don't want to give off any signs to anyone. I'm just skeptical, So I'm sitting there, we meditate, and then he sits me with someone knee to knee, and he goes, okay, tell them what you're seeing, what comes to you. I go, okay. So I sit with a random stranger, I'm knee to knee, and all of a sudden, literally, I could feel a tiny little charge, like a little tingle in my spine, like the hair on my neck was standing up. And then all of a sudden, I started to see black and white images come up. It was like an old Charlie Chaplin film. And I say to this person, I go, I see a car, but it's rolling or it's driving down the block in reverse, going like this, and it hits a tree, and the person driving loses their left leg, but they basically walk out of the accident. They're like, they're okay, they're still alive. And I don't know this girl that I'm reading. I never met her. And she says to me, she goes, yeah, that's my Uncle Vinny. I'm like, holy crap. Like, there's no way I could know that. And yes, from that moment on till today, that's what happens. I sit with people, I see these images, and I don't do it on command. If people have said to me, "Oh, read me now," and all that, no. I've learned over the years to do it appropriately. I sit with people, I'll read them usually for an hour, and I will see these images after images. I don't usually hear things. It's usually just these visual images, and I say to people exactly what I'm seeing. Sometimes it's about multiple relatives, sometimes it's about one relative, or it could be about things in their life that they're experiencing. And literally, since that moment in 2011-ish, when this happened, till now, everyone I've sat with, I've been able to do this with. So at first, I was a firefighter, and I'd work in the firehouse, and then my days off, I'd read people. I would never charge, nothing like that, because I'm like, hey, I got a job. Like, I work, I'm a firefighter, I make 120 grand. I'm good. I don't need any money. I just love the exchange. I love sitting with people doing that. And then intertwined with this, I'm also at night when I'm outside, I'm seeing lights in the sky, UFOs, right? So how this mixes in, because it's very important. In 1999-ish, 2000, right around there, I'm in the US Coast Guard, and I had a massive UFO sighting. So so people that are listening, in the US, you have 5 branches of the military. The Coast Guard is the 5th one. We go out at sea. We patrol usually the shore of America and like the Gulf of Mexico, just the outside. We don't go into other countries, not like the Navy. So it's just shorter term patrols. You go out for about a month to 3 months at a time, as opposed to the Navy. You're in the Navy, you might go out for a year or 18 months. So short deployments. So I'm a kid at the time. I'm like 19, and I go in, and I'm the night watchman. I'm the only guy. I'm on top of the boat. I'm all the way on top, what's called the flying bridge. And every 10 minutes, you look with these big giant binoculars and then night vision goggles. You scan the sea, you look in the sky, you look around, and if you see anything moving, you report it down to the officer on duty, to the bridge. So the flying bridge calls down to the bridge literally through an old-fashioned tube. You call down, saying what you see. It's awesome. So you call down in the tube, right? So I had been on about maybe 4 patrols. This is probably my 4th or 5th time out at sea. So it wasn't my first, but I was still new. You know, I'm 19. I'm a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. I don't have 20 years, right? So, and to this point, I had not seen anything like this, like I'm going to tell you. So I'm looking in the ground. I'm looking in the sky out at sea. All of a sudden, I see like a round silverish white object, and I see another one slightly staggered behind it, like they're almost trailing each other and just going in a formation like that. One's just slightly ahead of the other one, you know, just going like that. Boom, two round circles. So I see them. I look with the regular goggles. Yeah, I could see them. I look with the night vision. I could see them great. The night vision was great. It wasn't color night vision though. So everything looks green or white. So I see these white balls moving. I'm thinking, oh, it's a satellite, right? It's got to be your explanation. I'm sure they have it on their radar. Let me tell them though, because you have to tell them. So I called down. I said, hey, do you have anything to, 10 degrees off? And I gave them the location, and they're like, oh, hold on, stand by. And all of a sudden, an officer comes up. So for an officer to come up, it's usually something. They're not just coming up after midnight. It's like 1 in the morning, bro, out in the middle of nowhere. It's freezing up there, because even though you're out in the Caribbean at night, the wind is insane, bro. You can get windburn, you know what I mean? So I'm up there looking. The OOD, the officer on duty, comes up. He looks. Next thing I know, there's like 20 of us looking. And there's people passing around goggles. People are looking. The 2 objects are moving side by side. One's a little bit behind the other one, but they're moving at the same pace, right? And they're moving. This goes on for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. It's hard to tell. I wasn't paying attention to my watch. I was just fixated. Like, I don't want to lose that. Whatever it is, I'm curious. I don't know what it is. I'm still not saying UFO. I'm thinking, maybe it's a military experiment. Maybe it's something explainable, because I don't know. I hadn't seen anything like this. Not even on Unsolved Mysteries. Not like this. This is wild, bro. So they're moving, and then all of a sudden, the 2 objects come together, and when they merge, boom, they disappear. There's no trace, no trail, no sound, nothing. And when I saw them previously moving, there was no sound. There was nothing going on. They just moved, no sound. And the guys with me, they were like, hey, bro, if that was a plane, you'd be able to hear the engine. It's that
Yeah.
close. I was like, oh, because like I said, I don't know. I'm a
Yeah.
new guy. So I'm trusting guys with 20 years to show me the ropes and to tell me, hey, this is good or this is crap, kid. Don't worry about it. So they vanish. And I'm looking at the guy next to me. I'm like, what the heck was that, bro? Oh my God. That's unbelievable. They just gone. No direction, just out of here. So I'm looking around like this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen, right? Oh my God. And we go back to work. We do our thing. I'm all excited. And I had the shift from midnight till 4 a.m. So I get off at 4 a.m. I could barely sleep, man. I can't sleep after seeing that. All I knew is when I saw it, I had a feeling like I had never felt before. Okay. I felt like when I saw this object, okay, there was some sort of connection, right? Like, why am I seeing this, right? I'm the guy that sees this. Nobody else. I'm the first person to see it, but I'm glad I didn't see it alone. I had 20 witnesses, okay? Like when you hear the stories online about the Nimitz and the Navy UFO sightings, I'm very skeptical, okay? I'm very skeptical when people bring up those stories because the government could experiment with objects, weapons, device. They can do that. That is possible. Okay. So at the time when I saw that, I didn't know. All I knew was if it was an experiment, if it was a test by the government or some other agency, they put us at risk because we could shoot at that object. If they didn't identify themselves to a U.S. military vessel, a Coast Guard vessel, it was in the law, in our books, that if someone doesn't let you know who they are, they have to call on a radio and identify themselves if they're passing by your boat. They didn't do that. So we had the right to shoot them down with a 50 cal or a 25 cal machine gun. So that'd be pretty foolish. Like I said, that would have been really foolish moving at the pace they moved at. They weren't zipping through the sky. They were moving at a nice pace. We could have shot them, but we didn't detect them on the radar. They had nothing. So that was really odd. No detection on the radar. That's in a military system. It was pretty advanced at that time. Now probably even more, but it was really interesting. So the next morning, Russ, roll call 0900. I'm thinking, man, they're going to debrief us, or we're going to talk about this or something, because we talk about everything.
Oh, yeah.
Anything weird that happens in the military, you have to brief the guys and girls because that might happen again. So you got to let them know. God forbid something happens. You need to give them a heads up, man, so they're ready. So there's no accidents, you know what I mean? Or this is pre 9/11. So this could have been a threat. This could have been Russia, China, a military. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I know what I saw. So I started telling people. And in the morning, nothing happened. Nobody said anything. 0900 roll call. I talked to an officer and he goes, yeah, you're going to see a lot of weird things out at sea. Just get ready for it, get used to it. So I wasn't brought into a room. I didn't sign a statement. I didn't have an NDA, none of that nonsense. I saw what I saw. That's why I can share. I won't share where I was because the mission I was on was, say top secret or secret where we were, because we were doing drug interdiction and we were doing things involving migrants. So I wouldn't say where we were, but that object, that wasn't a training exercise. There was nothing like that. No, man. This was wild. It was raw, because if it was a training exercise, we would have been debriefed, and they might not have said it was an exercise, but I would have had to make a statement. You guarantee I would, because all those Navy guys, the Nimitz, they all got interrogated. They all made statements. That didn't happen with me. So all I know is I could say, based on what I'm about to tell you in the future, what I saw was the real thing, man. Real contact, man. That was a real object. That was two real objects. Absolutely.
Strangely enough, Andrew, the object you're talking about, I wrote a book about this. And
wow.
I called it, when I first seen it, I called it Tom and Jerry, because they were like chasing, like wherever you saw one, you saw the other. You know what I mean? And the thing is, I filmed it over the years. I don't know, quite a number of times.
Yeah.
and it's up on my YouTube. So I mean, I can understand exactly what you're saying, and that feeling, you feel special when you see it. You feel special, very special. So when you said that, I understand it exactly. So anyway, sorry, I just
That's
thought
okay.
about seeing it, filming it, the same time.
Yeah, and so I see that, then I get back home, right? And then I hear about Dr. Stephen Greer was this guy that claimed he could proactively make them appear. So I was like, okay. And he claimed that he had all these military witnesses. So I go, oh, well, I'd like to meet some military people because I saw something in the service too. Maybe I can get some answers. So I fly out to the desert in California in 2011
Yeah.
out in Borrego Springs near the Palm Springs desert. And it was me. And at the time, I was a New York City firefighter for about 5-6 years. My partner at the time was a police officer. We go out there and it was unbelievable. We had a contact experience in our hotel room of a green object appearing, staying at like 3 in the morning until the sun rose. The thing flashed, it moved up the wall. I didn't film it. I didn't grab a camera. I didn't want to. I didn't want to scare it away. It was that close to me that I thought, oh man, I don't want this thing to be freaked out because I've heard stories people pull the camera out or the 35. This is back in the day, Rose, 35 millimeter camera. I didn't have a high quality camera. I didn't want a big flash to go off and now this thing vanishes or disappears because they're scared or I didn't know. So I just sat in a room with it. The thing was there until the sun rose. And I had this incredible download experience with this. Unbelievable. First download, first real close encounter where I could have touched the thing. I didn't get off the bed. I just stayed there because I didn't want it to take off, like I said, but I felt like outside there was a much larger craft that kind of sent a probe in the room just to keep me comforted, to say, hey, it's okay. Like, it's all good here. We're going to have a nice communication. This is the beginning of a beautiful connection. And going back to the sighting I had, I started seeing similar objects like I saw in the Coast Guard. I started to see them on a daily basis.
Right, just a quick question. This guy Stephen Greer and what have you. Sort of like I've seen bits and pieces on YouTube and I've seen documentaries. I stopped watching documentaries about 5 years ago on UFOs. But one of the things which I always say to people, well, Stephen Greer, didn't he work for CIA? Is it the same person? So you've got somebody working for the CIA, right? Yeah. And the actual technology that he'll have his fingertips on, because you'll still have people and friends in the CIA, right? Yeah. So you can come away and people are saying, well, he's seeing all sorts. Well, the thing is, if you've got technology, I'm not surprised people are seeing all sorts. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because CIA, to me, as soon as you say G-men, I go, and it's a fact. And the thing is, when people say that, people have retired, and you never retire.
Nah,
You know what I'm
never.
saying? You never retire. And you've got all these jokers coming and saying, oh, I work for. You work for. Yeah, okay then. So what I'm saying is, I'm not surprised if anybody sees anything around these people, because I just wonder what kind of technology they might have at their fingertips. You know what I mean? It's a thought that, sort of like when anybody talks about, like government and stuff and sort of like, I start slowly switching off. Does that make any sense to you? But anyway, that was just, when he said the name, I'm thinking to myself, I've seen if he can't see things being in CIA, nobody can.
it's part of the journey with this and experience and meeting people, and you don't know, and you get to know. And I went out there and I met some great people in the
Yeah.
group who I still to this day still make contact with. So it's an amazing thing, the people I met. After that time, I never saw or met Greer or talked to him ever again.
Would you say that some of the people that were there were
Yeah.
probably seeing more than this guy, Richard Greer?
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. Best people I met there, Russ, were just regular dudes, regular guys and gals, regular people. I met a guy that was a garbage man who picked up the garbage at my firehouse. What are the chances? He was,
Wow.
I met him through doing this contact. He's just a regular garbage man from Staten Island, and we became good friends. And we've had, oh my, hundreds of experiences together. Unbelievable. So when I got back, I met a CE5 group in New York, all the way upstate, who every Saturday, one Saturday a month, they pick one Saturday, we'd get together, no charge, nothing, didn't cost a penny, get together. And I did that for like a decade with them. And we get together, people would film it, record it. I didn't at first. I was like, I don't want any tie to that, bro. I'm a firefighter. I don't want anyone's work to know. I don't want, I didn't want that out. I just didn't because, dude, I'm a third generation firefighter. My dad, my uncle were on. You come out saying this stuff, people are going to start thinking you're nuts, dude. And then they're going to throw you in a loony bin. It's happened.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to be so careful.
Yeah.
I got to be careful when this comes out, how it comes out, because if it comes out the wrong way, it's going to look awful and you're going to look crazy. You know how it is. So I was like playing a double life, right? I'm in the firehouse, fireman, loving it. I loved it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then doing this on my days off, making contact. And then eventually, I didn't know, but eventually I had an article written about me in the New York Post. They contacted me and they go, oh, they text messaged me. They sent me a DM. We're running an article about you tomorrow. Can you give us a comment? And I go, an article about what? What are you talking about? I said, who are you? I don't even know who you are. And the girl says, oh, yeah, we're running this article about you. I said, what article? What's in it? Can you show me the article so I could comment on the article? And she goes, no. I go, wait, how can I give you a comment? I'm not gonna show
And he
you
got a
what you
right to
wrote.
reply.
Yeah. How can you took months researching me? And she goes, yeah, it's about your experiences with UFOs and your psychic work. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, this girl's gonna, let me check this person out. So I looked into her and I looked at old articles that this person wrote. And the articles that she wrote previously were hit pieces, negative type articles on cops and firefighters. So I'm like, dude, this girl's gonna make me look like a nut job. I know it. Why wouldn't she? So I was like, nah, I declined. I'm not telling you anything. And I called a lawyer. Okay. I called this guy, Ray Hernandez, who's
Yeah.
friends with Mary Rodwell from the Free Organization, because he's an attorney. And I go, I don't know what do I do now, dude? Is this girl going to try to destroy my life and my job and everything? And I don't know. So I called the FDNY, the fire department, told them the truth. This is what I do. And their response was, we have no problem with what you do. You're not doing anything wrong. You're talking about UFOs and communicating with people's loved ones, and you're helping people communicate with their deceased loved ones. We need more firefighters like you. We have no problem with that. So they called the New York Post and said, hey, don't run the article. The guy doesn't want you to run it. Leave it alone. He just doesn't want you to run it. And they go, no, we're going to run it anyway. So they did. They waited a few weeks, and I have no problem with it. The article was fair. If you just type in the internet, if someone types in FDNY, I worked for the FDNY. If you type in FDNY and then UFO, the article comes right up. And as it turns out, don't get me wrong, it was less. But I didn't want that. I didn't ask for that. Is going to do the article and not make you look like a crazy person, because I've met enough friends over the years that have ended up on TV or in the media, and they were promised, oh, don't worry, the article is going to be good. You know, they're going to write a good article about you, or you're going to look good on TV. It's going to be good. And it looked horrible. And they made them look like a nut job, like my friend Chris Bledsoe, this guy from America. He did a thing with Discovery, and they lied to him. They said, hey, yeah, it's going to look fine, this and that. They put him in a polygraph. He failed the polygraph, and they tried to make him look crazy in the episode. You know, all this stuff. So you never know, man, even when they promise you to your face. So I didn't want the article. They did it. It is what it is. And it, like, you know, you've been in the newspaper and on TV, you know how it is, right? So anything can happen.
Oh yeah, because I mean, I've had to put some provisos in, basically saying that nothing goes out, right? Yeah, I've got the right to edit anything, but what you get is, well, you know, it's, you know, we're not going to do that because, you know, like you might be editing something out that we want in. And I said, well, if I don't think it's right, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not going in. So they said, well, we'll go to somebody else. So I said, well, you better go to somebody else. But this is a problem, you know, sort of like I've put, I'm now, I've done something very similar, you know, sort of like, and the problem with me at the moment is I've got to have 4 operations. And I've got to lose 6 stone before I can have them. So I'm in a lot of pain. So I don't think I'll be doing any. This is why I put a camera up. I've put a security camera up because I can't hold the camera because I'm in so much pain.
Wow.
So this way, I've done my own thing. I film whatever is going on, and it's a lazy way of doing it. But I'd just like to say we've got people saying we've got Sandra. Sakara, he's always around. I mate, I'll just so you can see, he's just saying hi there, and thanks for sharing your story. And we've got Tennessee, Kentucky, Bigfoot. Hey, hi there, mate. How you doing? It's yeah, fantastic show so far, I think. Anyway, right, I'll let you carry on because I'm butting in. Sorry.
Yeah, sure. You know, so UFO conference, or like it was not really UFO conference. It was more. It's called the paradigm shift. It's more of a consciousness spirituality conference. And I don't like conferences. That's not really my thing. You know what I mean? I'm very picky with that.
Yeah.
But the promoter, the guy that runs it, was awesome. We got along great. He goes, hey man, would you mind speaking at this conference? I did, and once again, trusting my intuition, you know, doing readings, being in the firehouse, all these things coming together. I take a vacation to Australia for a month. Why? I don't know. I'm sitting in my apartment in Brooklyn, and I kept getting synchronicity or downloads of Australia. I'm like, you know what? Screw it, man. I'm going to go to Australia. I don't know why. I'm just going to take a vacation. I'm a single guy, can do what I want, right? So I book a flight, I get a rent a car, and I'm like, I'm just going to go. So I know one person in Australia, Mary Rodwell. That's it. So I go, Mary, I'm coming to Australia. Can we meet up? She goes, definitely, come by. So I go out there, I meet up with her. She was great, man. I stayed at her son's house, Timmy. He let me sleep over the night before. It was lovely, man. Him and his wife were lovely people, man. So I had a great time. I sit with Mary, and she says to me, she goes, why did you come here, though? Why did you come to Australia? Are you getting anything? And I go, yeah, I got a real pull to come here. I don't know why, but there's more to it than just a vacation. This is different. She goes, I think, okay, you know, be open-minded, right? Of course. She goes, I feel that you have some hybrids, or you have some sort of connection to the greater, right? And you have hybrid children, and you're going to meet someone, a female, that you have hybrid children with. So I was like, okay, I don't know, I'm at the time, right? I'm a firefighter. I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, I'll see. I'm a little skeptical with the hybrid thing at the time, right? I don't know. I can't, because I can't show a hybrid to you right now. If I could make one appear and show your audience, I would. Case closed, right? That ends the whole discussion. I can't do that. But I understand this whole phenomenon, all this weird stuff is multidimensional. It gets confusing, and you can't see everything physically. I get it. So I'm just open. I'm like, whatever, we'll see what happens. So I leave Mary's house, and 8 hours later, I meet a girl who is named Jess, who now is my wife, who I have a child with, who's almost 4. We're married. We have a child, a family. I ended up moving to Australia. It was amazing. I don't regret any of it. It's just the path, the journey that life took me on, you know? I never expected to come here. When I first came to Australia, I got a job as a mortician. I was working as an embalmer in a funeral home, preparing the deceased dead bodies, and I was taking care of the families before, during, after funerals, which was great. So I was doing that, and then on my days off, I would do readings. Same thing, for nothing, just helping people, doing it. It was beautiful. Then when COVID came, Russ, I got so smashed with emails from all over the world. People were hitting me up during COVID saying, "Hey man, can you read me? Can you read me?" I'm like, I barely have time, dude. I'm working a full-time job. I have a baby. So I said to my wife, I said, I think it's time. So I decided to fully submerge myself, and all right, it's time, man, do this full time now. So I'm a full-time medium. I've been doing readings for about 13 years, but I do it full time now, legit thing. And during COVID, for some reason, right, I'm getting a download, write, keep writing. So I just wrote everything, bro, just channeled out whatever, my life story. And a week later, I get interviewed by someone at the New York Times, and they connect me with a literary agent. I get signed by a literary agent. So I've written a book that'll come out next year at some point. And then I join that app called TikTok because my kids are on it. And they're like, Andrew, put your UFO videos up. And I did. And I just put them out there for people to see. And then someone contacted me from MUFON. They analyzed my videos. I said, I don't care. You can analyze them. I don't hide anything. They're for everyone to see. I don't care. I want to share them with people. I said, just do the right thing. If you want to analyze them, just don't lie. Just share the truth. That's all I ask. And MUFON got back to me and said, hey, man, we're doing a show on A&E. It's going to be on Blaze TV in the UK and Channel 7 Mate in Australia called Close Encounters Down Under. And they analyzed my footage, my testimony. They put me in the show. I'm very happy with what they did. They were lovely to work with. And I'm also developing a TV series where I go around just doing readings, just psychic readings, just connecting people with their deceased loved ones all over the world. At first, we're going to do it in America, but we're going to do it all over the world because that's what I do, man. I help people, and I took working in a funeral home and being a firefighter, and I've intertwined that in my practice. So I have a lot of real life in 3D experience doing psychic work, doing UFO work before I even did this professionally. You know what I mean? This is serious stuff for us. Working with the dead and communicating with people's loved one. This is serious stuff. And if someone out there is looking for a reading with anyone, I don't care who it is, make sure that they have a lot of experience doing what they're doing and they can back up what they're saying because there's a lot of frauds out there.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
You know what's out there, man. There's a lot of kooks and a lot of people claiming to be contactees, claiming to have psychic abilities, and they don't. They don't have any of that. They just lie.
The funny thing about it is, going back 30 years when I was first in paper, talking about being abducted and in this military unit, nobody wanted me to talk about aliens having weapons and fighting. Basically, I'm called a super soldier in my book, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And this is before even the terminology. Well, I mean, it was before, obviously, in late 30s. But before the super soldier, as we know now,
right.
sort of it wasn't around as such. In 1998, when I was in paper talking about this and making a film, and the very people that I was writing and sending videos into a magazine in this subject was stabbing me in the back, and I found out, right? Yeah. I found out that they were all their favourites, all being put forward. A lot of them you see on television now, talking about this subject.
Yeah.
And I sit back and I think, yeah, well, what I know about you lot, and I know how you got on, you know what I mean? And I'm the one that was there before all you lot, right? Yeah. And I'm the one that's been sort of like, apart from, one or two people asking me to do stuff last year and what have you. And I think to myself, you know what? I'd rather do stuff on my own now. But I'm just looking at the people and I'm thinking, you know what? I know what you lot are. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
so, like, I were told, don't talk about this. And this is a magazine. Yeah. The truth is
Wow.
in here. Bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing,
So
Russ.
I know,
I
I know all
I
about,
know.
like you say, I know all about it, and sort of like super soldiers, right? Yeah. I have been taken now since I was 16 years old. I am absolutely knackered. I've got ME. I've got our 4 operations and all this lot, right? Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I've been knocked about, I've been kicked around, and you know, like for all that time as a super soldier. And I'm thinking to myself, isn't it funny? All these super soldiers coming, they're like bronze gods, you know what I mean, sort of thing, walking around. And I'm thinking, where's your injuries? We've traveled through
Right.
time, right? Yeah, and we've been teleported, and it's killing us.
Yep.
How
That's
comes?
right.
It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Sort of like, and I've wrote 2 books. I'm writing another one about the after effects with like ME of being taken and all the other stuff. You'll know anyway. But I do know what you're saying. I've come across them, and I think to myself, good grief. But anyway, yeah. So you moved to Australia.
Yep.
Now, obviously, there's Pine Gap. The
Yeah. Yeah.
facility,
Sure.
you know what I mean?
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, it's not like move from one place to another right
Yep.
next. You know, it's like me when I were abducted. There's a so-called military base, both British and American. And when I moved 20 years across here, we've got the same thing 20 miles away with these big radar systems and what have you. So I've done the
Wow.
same thing. I've moved from one place to another place. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And the
Yeah.
thing is, though, I have filmed everything. I've filmed me getting zapped by a ball of light.
Wow.
Well, it was a UFO, and I filmed all on me. So it's all there for people to see.
Wow.
You can see it, and sort of like, you know, what I've filmed flying triangles coming out of the sea outside of my house in the bay. 2 together, take off 20 minutes, and I was looking at other stuff as well, shooting down at them.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I mean, the thing is, but anyway, and I can't. So what happened next then? When I know, like you were saying, 2 years nobody could go out, and I'd been watching a lot of people saying that they'd been getting readings. You know,
Yep.
even on YouTube, not you on the Facebook, there were people saying we're giving readings now. There was also
Wow.
the other stuff, people singing and what have you. You know what I mean? And sort of, you know.
Yeah.
So there was a lot going on with those 2 years, which
Oh
I
yeah.
I spoke before it happened. I told that was going to happen on a radio on a show. I told them about exactly what was going to happen, and sort of
Wow.
like, you know,
Crazy. Crazy times you live in, man. It's wild. I know that I'm so glad that I did not listen to some people in ufology, right? When all this first happened, right? When I first started talking with other people, when I decided to go public or just even go online and get answers, right? I'm just trying to talk to people. The
yeah,
people in ufology, prominent ufologists, whatever that means, were telling me, oh, you need to call the local news and newspaper and have them come and do a story. I said, are you freaking crazy, bro? I'm a firefighter. If go public and I say this and I end up on the cover of the paper saying I see UFOs and they're not there when they come, I'm going to end up in a psych ward. Like, this is serious stuff, dude. This can end your career. This changes people's lives. This destroys people's lives. I am so glad that I didn't listen to them. I just heard what they said, but I go, yeah, I don't think so, bro. And I held off and waited until I felt comfortable going ahead with someone to go do something in the form of television or
I know
something
what you're
visual.
saying there, but the thing is, you know, we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same position.
Yeah,
When you're working, no matter whether you're, like you say, if you're sweeping the roads or
whatever. Yeah,
whatever, we've all got a living to make, and it's just as hard for somebody to go public and sort of like and let people know. Some people were pushed forward. Some people were actually taken, and they were shown every conference and what have you, and their faces was out there.
wow.
Having said that, it's a case of there were more or less investigators, which came with the same kind of stigma because you're investigating the paranormal, something, like the realms of science, sort of like it's beyond the realms of science. That's all it is,
Yeah,
and it's a case of there's no answers, what I mean,
no,
for paranormal, for go everything, but this is a problem. I have got my answers because, like someone says, well, do you see these things? Did it happen? Was it real? Have you got psychosis? Have you got a mental illness? Right? And I says, no, it happened. I saw it. I was
right.
taken to hospital with with illnesses and like they thought I had the brain tumor and all sorts of stuff. And I was still working, so I'm talking about what happened. And I were in
Yeah,
an industry where you get a kicking. You know what I mean? If they thought you were sort of like taking the Mickey,
yeah,
you know what I mean? They'd
yeah,
sort of like, you get a trowel, thrown at you or something, or a brick or an hammer or something. You know what I mean? Oh, this
yeah,
one's away with fairies. He's seeing aliens.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, of
Because we're
course.
working at men's jobs. So
Yeah,
we're all sort of like the same in, and sort of like you go public, you know what I mean? Whether you like I say, we've all come up with the same thing, sort of like, and I know what you're saying, and you still get it. You'll still get it, whether sort of like whether you're accomplished author and you've got books out and what have you. You'll still get
oh
people
yeah,
having a go at you. You know what I mean? And sort of like maybe not as much, maybe more.
yeah. When I did this, when I first learned how to do it proactively and do CE5, I
Yeah,
remember one person that showed up. The group was amazing. It was diverse. You had people that just stayed at home and raised their kids, to
yeah,
scientists, to garbage men, to a guy that was an actor, a real Hollywood actor. And he goes,
yeah,
I'll do this. I'll talk about it. He goes, but I can't publicly come out and say everything. He goes, I won't get jobs. He goes, some people won't hire me because I just share what happened. I was like, wow, man, that's crazy, right? Like, yeah, everyone's in some sort of situation that if it gets revealed, it's a big thing. When I came back to my family and said, hey, mom, have you noticed anything? Or my brother, me and my brother have seen tons of stuff together. But I asked my mom, she goes, yeah, I saw a black disc in the 1970s with your aunt and uncle, and it flew over the house in broad daylight. We jumped in a Jeep and followed it, and it stayed there. It glided, silent, seamless black disc. It hovered over like a power plant. We all saw it, and then it shot off, gone. And I
yeah.
never knew that until I came forward, and an immunologist, a geneticist said, hey, does this run in your family? Ask your family. And I did. I go, mom, wow, I wish I would have known that. Maybe these
Did you
things,
say a
whatever they
power
are.
plant?
Yep.
Yeah, get them all the time. Like reports coming in. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah, so it's like a substation. They might even have nuclear stuff in the area. Who knows, man? But this thing was there broad daylight. My mom saw it, and there's been other sightings throughout my family. It's just the people in my family, I respect them. I love them. They're like, hey, I'm not going to go forward. You've gone forward. That's up to you. But I don't want to share it with the world because I'm retired or whatever. They just don't want to deal with the headache. And you know what that's like? People look at you differently. My own family, some of them look at me differently. However, when people end up dying eventually, or we lose people in the family, those same relatives that looked at me weird, now they have come back to me saying, hey, could we talk about this? Or what about life after death? Or can you do a reading? Can you help me? And I do. I don't judge them because I get it. It's tough to come forward to talk about these things.
Yeah.
But when you lose someone, you have something weird happens, that can wake you up a little bit.
Oh, hell yeah. There's no
You
doubt
know?
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is it. But I have that, you know, so I always think, if you don't believe me, you know what I mean? I won't say, but, you know, I've learned over the years, you know, sort of like, if you believe me, you do. If you don't, you don't. You know, you can't
Yeah.
make people believe you. You know, sort of like,
Yeah.
my evidence is as good as anybody else,
Yeah.
if not better in some ways. But people say, well, you know, Russ, they're just videos. You've got videos, so what? You know, sort of like, you know, so everybody's sort of like in the same position. You know,
Yeah.
sort of like,
Yeah.
we're all talking about what we've had happen to us, and you know, but yeah,
Some of Russ and some of the best contact, actually the best things I've ever seen, the most intense, amazing things, I didn't record. Like it just happened. I didn't have a camera, you know, when I was in the Coast Guard.
yeah,
I didn't film anything, but oh, I wish I could show someone what I saw, but
yeah.
I can't even describe it. Even when I talk about it, it's beyond word. It was just whoa, like, and that's happened over the years. I see things, it's quick, gone. I don't have a camera. I didn't have an iPhone at the time. It just happens. So it's just a small percentage of things we're getting on film. And if they come out good and the lighting's right, and when you don't have footage, people argue, oh, you got to record that stuff, bro. Come on, let's see the evidence. Then you get it. Oh, that's not a good recording. Then it is a good
Oh
recording.
yeah.
Oh, it's a satellite. They always have something to say. You know,
Oh,
people
it's
just
too
want to
good.
fight with
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you
like,
know
oh,
how it
it's
is.
CGI, and you know,
Yeah.
I must admit, there's a few times when you're in a lot of pain, you sort of like, sometimes I just want to get back in the house. You know, now I've got my camera up, you know, sort of like I just click and watch lazy man's way of doing things. But then again,
It's all right.
you know,
Yeah.
at least I'm doing something productive, I suppose.
You're getting something, and that's good that you're still documenting what you're experiencing for yourself. I don't care. When MUFON contacted me, I said, I don't care if what you do with my footage. I know
Yeah,
it's real. You do whatever you want with it. I know it's genuine because I'm in my house. I'll get a feeling that
yeah,
they are outside. I'll go outside with my kids, 15,
yeah.
14, and 3, and my wife, and I'll go, they're outside, or they're gonna come within a minute. We go out there, there's either a craft there, or we get the camera ready, boom, it appears and then zips off. That ain't no satellite.
No,
You know,
no.
I know. I don't care what anyone says, but I've also gotten them analyzed by multiple people that worked in the military, intelligence, all of that. They've all said the same thing. How the hell did you record that? I don't need the validation anymore, though. That was years ago when I wanted answers to make sure
I know
I'm
what
not
you're
crazy,
saying.
you
I
know?
know exactly what you're saying. I mean, the thing is, I used to spend money on getting the footage, call it validated, call it what you want,
Yeah.
looked at
Yeah.
and appraised, and then I came across something very strange, and that one of the guys who were talking behind my back was contacting people, and I'm thinking, what's he contacting these people for? You know, sort of like, and people's, you know, sort of like, we're talking and saying, "Oh, yeah, we think it could be this, we think it could be that," and all of a sudden, when this guy has phoned up, there's a slight change of opinion. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking to myself, there's something not right now. So what I did is I just said, by, you know what I mean? Because, and the other problem And there's a problem when you get anybody, no matter who it is, looking at video evidence. And this is a big problem, right? Yeah. And this is why looking at, sort of like evidence is a bit of a, how can I put it? Take it or leave it from my point of view.
Right.
You can have 10 different people, right? Yeah. And they've all got the same academic, what do you call it? Academic status.
Yep.
Whether it is either a professor or a doctor, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Credentials. Yep.
Image enhancement, electric imaging, and photography, right? Yeah. You can have 10 of them, and you can give them one video, right? Yeah. And you will get maybe 50% saying one thing and 50% saying the other, or you might get 70% and 30%. And I've done this and I've studied this, so I know what I'm talking about. It's bullshit, right? Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yep.
Because the thing is, how can you possibly have different opinions, right? Yeah, you've got one piece of evidence, one piece of footage, and you can have one saying yeah, one saying no. It's a bit like going to a court. Who the court to judge anybody? You've got a court, never there, never seen whatever, but yeah, they can judge. How can you judge? It's the same principle. And that's my beliefs over the years now. And I look and I say, you know what? If you like what I filmed, good. And if you don't,
what can you do, man? Right?
But anyway, yeah. So, I mean, now you can see why I don't sort of like bother with people making documentaries. It's like,
I've had the same thing. I've had people that wanted to look at it or wanted to work together, and then they sabotage it and they call the people involved and they don't make it happen, or they disappear, or it's bizarre. Once you get something that threatens their narrative, and it's
wow.
ufologists, once you threaten their narrative, their story, you're done, because they have to.
And there's one, right? Yeah, who seems to go around talking about people a lot in this subject.
Oh,
And
God.
he's known for it. He's known for it.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he'll never be anything, never was anything, never will be anything. And and the thing is, he doesn't realise that all of us lot know. I mean, what a wanker. You know what I mean? What a wanker.
Yeah. It's a wild ride, man, going through this stuff and meeting the people you meet. Some of the best, right? Some of the greatest people I've met because of this, and then some of the worst, craziest, wacky, sick, twisted. Oh my God, you have to block them. You can't even, because they get personal, they get psychotic, and I got no time for that, man. I'm just here to share my truth. That's it, man. If it helps someone, great. If it doesn't, too bad, man. I'm just telling you what I've seen and showing you. Most people don't show. They just talk crap. They don't show you anything. They're not out there. If you're out there doing it, you're out there actually doing it. You know how tough it is and what that requires, man. So I respect people like you. You're out there in the mud. Like
I'm out there. I'm in here pressing buttons, watching.
Right. Exactly. It's tough. It's not easy, bro. I've been out there freezing my butt off for years in the cold, sub-zero temperatures, recording craft, because it was perfect. It was right there. I had to. My hands were frozen. My phone, my iPhone froze one night. It said iPhone frozen. I'll never forget that. Frozen. I was out there. It was frozen, bro. Yeah, it's great, but I don't regret anything. It was a great experience. Wow. I wouldn't do it again, but it was just great. You know what I mean? It was just great at the time. I was young. Who cares, man? It was great. I don't regret any of it, man. I've met the amazing people. Who cares, man? It's part of the journey, right? You're going to meet people no matter what you do in any walk of life. If you do what you love or you're into this, hey, man, you got it. That's it. You're doing what you love, right? You're recording craft. Great. Good. Great.
I always, it's a funny thing is this, because the one thing you hope for, and that's nice weather to go, just sit outside without it pouring it down and what have you.
Oh
You
God.
can sit outside and film, and sort of like there has been a couple of occasions when I've been a bit worried because different types of craft have turned up, and the ones that we're fighting against have turned up, and sort of like, and I thought to myself, wow, you know what I mean? This isn't good.
Yeah. Have you noticed the connection with the weather? Like certain crafts show up when it's certain type of weather out, or when it's bad weather, the craft, or you don't have a good feeling, anything like that?
Let's put it this way. I've got some footage. A friend used to come over and, sort of like, and I used to go over to his place and we'd film, and he filmed a couple of things, and then I'd gone over to a friend's and sort of like in the same area, and we were talking, and what happened was that he was a fantastic guitarist and what have you. And I used to go listen to him, and he was teaching us a chord, terrible. Can't play for toffee. And so he used to go up and sit down and have a nap, and we're talking about what had been seen. There were like Tom and Jerry being seen, flying saucers, rockets, pyramids, boxes, all sorts of stuff seen. Pterodactyls being seen, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And I goes out and I said, I've got this new satellite navigation, and it tells you about, I could never use it, right? It was that complicated. Apart from it tell you how many satellites were around. And I'm saying, oh, it said there's 7 satellites around, and I'm looking up. And I looked up again, and this thing came across like a two-tone, like a triangle, low.
Yeah.
And I looked, and I'm saying, have you? And he's got his binoculars, and he's looking at it. So I get in the back of the car and pulls the camera out and started filming it. And it had gone across, and it was coming down. And it looked like, at the end, it looked like either something falling, somebody coming down in an ejector seat, right, yeah, or a flying man, in one of those like James Bond jetpacks.
Wow.
But it wasn't, because it had gone overhead. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And
yeah.
So I'm saying to Tony, where's your camera? He's got a better camera than me. And he's saying, oh, I've got a right view of this. And I said, well, that happens. I have. And I'm recording it.
Yeah. Wow.
Sort of like, we're just unbelievable.
Wow.
And I got told, someone said we're an hang glider.
Wow.
Now, me and Tony, we were watching this. We know what it was. You know what I mean? And for this person to turn around, like I said, and he would tell, you know what I mean? I just stopped bothering with these people. I just cut them loose. And then somebody else takes over, and then you find out they're as bad as, you know what I mean? So you're thinking, like, your own YouTube channel, you know what I mean? And do your own thing. So when you've been, like now, when you do you still go out filming now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I still film. I still film up to this date. I usually do it at like early in the morning, like 4 a.m. because no one's out. It's still, and I know it's that. And if you go out at night, sometimes a lot of satellites and people out. I prefer to go when no one's around, because then I have no interference. It's silent outside. It's still. And I've had a lot of good contact in the sky and on the ground. I'll get objects or outlines, being shadow type figures on the ground right by me, literally in the little circle around me. I've seen tons of them, but that only happens late at night or real early in the morning. So yeah, I'll still do that. I do more right at the current moment. I'm doing more observing and more reading. I'm doing a ton of reading at the moment. But yeah, I still film. The camera's still there. But once you film too, like, it's cool to have it set up, because then I don't have to worry about it. I don't like to keep it in my hand, because then I'm not paying attention to the object. You know what I mean? Because you're looking through the device. I'd rather just sit there have it set up on a tripod or whatever I'm doing, but you got to make sure you get it on camera if it's moving. So it's a tough thing. So I try to film it and take in as much as I can. Or one of my kids, they'll come, they love filming. They'll sit, my wife, someone will film. So we take turns. Someone will just film, someone will chill. I have a ton of footage. Most of it's out there. The other footage that's not out there is being analyzed and will be out there at some point when I release all of it. But yeah.
Have you ever had this happen, right? Yeah. And because when you're filming, you don't want to take, and you sort of like just to look around, like I did with those two flying triangles coming out of Bay, right?
Yep.
And then panning back to show how close it is to the road, how these triangles are so close to the road. You know what I mean? And try to explain to people, this is 250. This is about not in feet. It's about maybe 400 feet away.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
And but what I'm so you're looking and you sort of like, and then you know what I mean. You sort of like looking, but there's other things coming, and you're looking, and you're thinking, flipping, and then you try to film them, and the problem is you're taking your eye off the ball to get these other things that are shooting down around them. But what I was going to say, do you ever get that when you're filming, but something else is behind you?
Yeah.
And you're filming.
Yeah.
And the sneaky thing as much, and you're thinking to yourself, and then you see it, and it goes into a cloud.
Yep. That's a very good.
Yourself, that's moved from there, and it's gone into a cloud now. Now you were saying about, do you ever notice on the video we're telling you about from one of the guys that used to come to my group meeting and what have you? I moved over here, and years later he contacted us because he'd been down the road and he was filming, and he was filming at night time, and it was atrocious. It was nearly full cloud. There were just a couple of openings, and there was a ball of light in the sky for an hour, and there were things coming down around it and going into it, right? Yeah. And then what happens? Two black triangles come out of the actual clouds. One goes around it, and the other one comes and starts attacking it. It starts trying to ram it, and it's moving away from it.
Wow.
Now that footage was supposed to go out with my flying man and other footage. ABC News came, and it was supposed to go out on Christmas Day, and they lost the videotape.
What?
They lost. What? I've got a letter from them. Saying we're sorry, but we lost the video, the VT. Oh yeah.
Come on.
I've got pictures of
I
them
believe you, but
filming.
wow.
I'm going to put the pictures up. Now, someone said, how comes they didn't lose their jobs for that? How comes whoever did not lose a job, they'd spend all day, they're on quite, a film crew.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
And somebody, if it had been me in my job, I'd have been sacked. You know what I mean? Sort of like, how comes? So I know what you're saying when you say about, have you noticed that, and that is, the thing is, when you least expect them to be out there, they'll be out there.
That's right.
Just
when
because
it's real
it's bad weather for us.
Yep.
What's the saying? I mean, you'll know about this, but it's like, if you're going to do a job somewhere, you know what I mean? It's like, do it when it's raining, pouring down, because, you know what I mean? Sort of like, nobody's going to expect you, you know what I mean? To try to get in a place, like.
Right.
if you're going to breach an area and what have you, do it when it's, like, who's going to think, there's only going to be fools out there, sort of like
Right,
pouring
right.
down the rain this time and what have you. And the thing is, it's the same principle in a way. It's not only a military, it is a military principle. And that is when they least expect it.
That's right. That's right. And I love doing that. I've gone out on many nights when it's totally cloudy and people will say, "Oh, that's the worst time." And I said, "Well, let's try something." I go out and I first heard this from Elvis Presley to part the clouds. So I sit, if it's cloudy, I will literally say out loud or in my mind telepathically, "Okay, clouds part, move out of the way." And right above the group, right above where we're sitting, the clouds will move, and right in that opening, I filmed it, object zipping through just that opening right there. And then we're done with the contact. They close back up, done. I love doing that, man, because people won't go out and it's rainy, it's cloudy. I'm like, screw that, let's try it. Why not, right? Give it a shot.
Oh,
And that's cool.
always take a carrier bag. Like when we go out, I got something bought for me to sit on.
Yeah.
And sort of like something happened and I had to sit down and I was in a lot of pain. And I had to sit down and to put a plastic bag, you know what I mean? Because it was raining and I was soaked. I was absolutely soaked from top to bottom.
Wow.
I'm not joking.
Yeah.
And then I spent 5 weeks recuperating, being ill. You know what I mean? Sort of like, because I've got
Wow.
ME.
Yeah,
And
man.
sort of like I was in so much pain. I hadn't even got over it. I
Yeah.
don't think, yeah. But I know it's funny you were talking about Elvis Presley, right? Yeah. Because you notice he had a chain, and
Yep.
on that chain, he had a lightning strike. Do you ever see?
Yep.
Do you ever see that? Well, the funny thing is,
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah.
yeah. Well, I haven't said much about this in my book, but they wear a lightning, like it's a lightning strike, but it's the other way around. Like there's runes
Yep.
like an X, but it's the other way around. It's still a lightning
Yep.
strike, but
Right.
it's not in the shape of an S. It's the other way around. Right? Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, I've heard that. Yep.
Very, very, very odd. So I hadn't told anybody that before. But when you were talking about Elvis,
Oh yeah. He knew all
so,
about this stuff. Elvis knew all about this, man. I read a book that somebody that knew him wrote, and he was all into this the occult. And yeah, man, he knew what was
oh
up.
yeah. But his mum wasn't his mum, or his his great grandma was Native American.
Right. Yeah. So yeah,
Was
that
she?
high probability already. Yeah, man, they got it. Yep.
I think I
Oh
read.
yeah.
You know, so the other thing. So, um, have you come across anything like cryptics? With zoology.
Yeah, I've seen some odd looking things, okay, that I've taken photos that have just been in the background. I took a picture once, it was bizarre, and a friend of mine saw it and sent it to an organization that studies photos of the dog man, whatever
Yeah.
that is.
Oh hell yeah.
And they came back and said that this was legit. Whatever I took, I was eating in a restaurant in Brooklyn, and I took a picture of my fiance at the time, and right behind her, outside the window in the back, was the outline, the head, and everything looking in. But I'd seen him out in the field too. Now they don't just come into the forest; they can. I don't know how they get here. It's interdimensional, whatever it is. I've seen things appear, change color, shape, disappear.
Yeah.
I've seen humans change colors, all that weird stuff. Yeah, man. It's really strange, really hard to catch on camera, but I've caught a few things on camera and I had them looked at and they just said basically, that's not fake, that's not a blob. It's no, we don't know what that is. So yeah, absolutely, man. All that stuff.
It's a good idea for anybody who's filmed anything to have a look. You might have filmed and you might, have left them on your phone or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's always a good idea to have a look through, because you never know what you might have picked up.
I wasn't looking.
That's
I wasn't
anybody.
looking for that. Like I said, I'm in a
No.
restaurant. I'm just eating dinner. I took a picture and posted it. And my friend, who's well connected with this world and everything, he goes, "Dude, how did you take that?" I go, "Take what?" And he showed me. I go, "Oh my God." Like the thing was looking in the window at me. Like people have taken pictures, ET in the window, whatever. This thing was looking in the window. I'm like, "Oh my, how did you see that?" I didn't even get that at first. And then I'm like, "All right, take a look at it, whatever." And the people in the group, the dog maker, they wrote back and they're like, "How did he do this? Blah, blah, blah." And I'm having all sorts of other interesting things happen. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Look through your pictures. I found stuff through looking through my camera roll. Oh my God. I didn't even know that was on there. Absolutely. That's a good one, Russ. Very good.
Yeah. That is, sort of like unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, have you got anything you want to tell us? Anything that?
Yeah. If anyone wants to reach out to me or find me, it's real easy. ThePsychicFirefighter.com is my website. If you go on any social media, I'm on most of them: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Anyone wants to DM me, have a talk, no problem, man. Anyone needs whatever they want to look at UFO stuff, it's on YouTube, it's everywhere. My stuff's all over the place. I'm open about all of it, man. So just like I said, anyone is looking to learn or get read by anyone, man, just make sure that you find this person has a trail, that has been trained and been around people that know what they're doing, because there's so many frauds, especially right now after COVID. They're vultures. They're going after people, ripping them off. They're not really doing what they claim to do. Just be real vigilant, be real careful, protect yourself, because the next COVID or whatever is going to come and something is going to happen at some point. That's reality. And you need to protect yourself and your family from the people out there that are going to try to take advantage of you. You know what I'm talking about. You got to be real careful, man. And whatever you're doing, whatever it is,
The last
just be
time I
real
spoke
careful.
about COVID, I got what do you call it? Facebook prison.
Yeah, whatever it is. Whatever the sin
Yeah.
is, yeah.
The best
Whatever.
not to say anything. So if you've
Whatever.
got a
Just
book
be
coming out,
careful.
don't say
Yeah.
anything. Leave it at that. Don't
Yeah.
be, sort of like. But yeah, just be aware.
I'm not a
Just be aware.
scientist, you know what I mean? I don't pretend to be, but just
No.
protect you and your family and whoever's out there. Just be skeptical and open, and you have the right to ask questions to people. You know what I mean? Question things and go out there and do the work, man. Before
I'm
you
just
judge someone, go out there and do it.
I've just missed this because I know that my Facebook. Hang on. Right. Oh, Ron Bo. Yeah. Hi there. How are you doing? Great interview, guy. Start again. Great interview, guys. I've got yeah. So there, yeah.
Someone asked too. Sandra asked, "Can we see your footage somewhere?" Yeah, absolutely. So if you go on my YouTube page, if you just type in the Psychic Firefighter, or you go on my Facebook or TikTok, Instagram, just type in Psychic Firefighter or my name, Andrew Razowitz. It'll come up on all my postings. I have the show I was just in on A&E and Blaze TV in the UK. I have the whole show, the clip right there, or it's on all my socials, man. I have all my footage up.
Hi, Sandra. Yeah. Always on the show is always helping. Yeah.
And someone wrote, many Bigfoot are supposed to work travel with aliens.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've seen craft. I've seen lights in the sky or on the ground. And I've also seen these, whatever they are, cryptids, things that look really strange, really weird. At the same time, these objects are here and going into them, out of them. It's weird. So, yeah, I feel there's definitely a realm when we meditate,
Oh,
and
there is.
sometimes there's an overlay at some point, whether you just enter it by accident or you're in a forest, a national forest, or whatever, some weird stuff happens at certain grid points or mental points. We just interact with these things and they happen at the same time. No one has all the answers, but yes, they're connected. And be very careful. Go out with someone or have a camera around it that you can record it.
With regards to what you said earlier on, because I'm remembering, we were talking about shadow people as well. Now, I've been watching a few of the programs with these what is it now? You know, the cryptozoologists, and they're going out looking for, you know, this species that is there, which was unknown, you know, unknown animal. And obviously Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it, you know, there's quite a few different names. Now, what I saw, and what I've been reading as well, but something I actually saw with my eyes, and it was, I'll just try to think, the group, which series, which program it was, Expedition, I think it was. It has, is it Maya, and Russell is an ex-military guy, and there's another guy. But anyway, what happened was they were filming, and they saw this shadow of somebody going past.
Yep.
But yet it wasn't them, because they could account for nobody moving, because well, we're here. The shadow came from there, but yet there was nothing there. So it's like you spoke about these, what people call shadow people.
Yep.
I know something a little bit different about shadow people, and how I've become a shadow person. But you've seen them as well, you were saying.
Oh yeah, I've seen ones that are ET or come with the phenomena, and then I've seen ones that are spirits. I worked in a funeral home as a mortician.
Yeah.
I have seen entities, black or different colors, going through walls, and I'm not the only one. Other coworkers have seen this. It's a very real thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've had people, nurses as well, talked about that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, big time in hospitals all over.
Oh yeah, one in particular that they closed the ward down.
Yeah, I believe it.
Serious, I couldn't believe it.
It's serious stuff, man.
They'll never go in that ward ever.
You don't know what it. You don't know what it is. Sometimes you got to take it and be careful, of course.
Well, it was not a nice spirit.
Exactly.
Or entity. But when right, we become shadow people because of a suit, what we use as life suit. And there's a gadget on, we turn the gadget and we can walk through solid matter.
Wow.
The problem is you can't see us. We can, but there's a signature given off, and some people can see it better than others.
Wow.
And that is, we become shadows.
Yeah. Interesting.
So that is just something, you know, sort of like that. So basically, I know a little bit about that because it seemed I wrote it in my book anyway. But if you know what I mean,
beautiful
regarding shadow people. But it's funny because they're around these areas where you've got Sasquatch and you know, Bigfoot. You know.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. And also, like you were saying, you have that object, or some people say objects, and that is like I've called them Tom and Jerry. Always seen. Now, how do you get something if it's flying, you know, like a vehicle in woods where there's, you know, there's not much space for, you know, sort of like a vehicle, like, you know, like an aircraft, is there, to fly in woods? You know what I'm saying? It's like the only thing usually now what's capable of doing that is the what do you call it? It's, what do you call them now? I'm losing my chair. My train of thought there. You know, when they're taking the little aircraft up, you know, sort of like take photographs.
Right. They sound like a little drone, like a little probe.
Drone.
Yep.
Yeah. The not the military. It's the same thing. It's a drone, but not the military ones. What I mean is
no.
You know, like they're taking up for like videoing, you know, like
Yes.
what's going on, you know, sort of like.
It's a little reconnaissance. Yeah. Yeah. They do a little reconnaissance.
Yeah,
I just want to answer the last question before I wrap up. Somebody asked about where I put God in all of this. So yes, I studied ancient Egyptian mythology for many years, and I believe
yeah,
that there is a connection. It's not the ET hypothesis, it's different, but ancient Egyptian mythology, there are gods or multiple gods, and I
yeah,
believe there is some sort of designer of whatever this is, where the matrix, whatever you want to call this thing, something designed it, but something designed that as well. I do personally believe in some sort of greater being, and I believe in multiple greater beings based on my experience of studying and interacting with this, and then getting results after it and seeing the good and the ugly and the horror in humanity. Humanity is beautiful and horrible, right? We have it all. So there must be some sort of compassionate, all one being, something that has some sort of compassion that lets us do what we do because we have free will. In other lives or other realities, there isn't free will. That's what I believe based on my research and understanding. So we have a gift because we have free will. We could do what we want. So enjoy that. You could change right now, do whatever you want right now. You could sign out of this, go to sleep. You go stay online all night. You can do whatever you want, man. That's a gift. That's beautiful. So that's the gift of life. But yes, I believe God fits in, and we are all children of whatever that is, everything. So yes, we got to find a way of working together so we don't destroy each other.
it's a yin and yang,
That's it, man.
you know, sort of like
Straight up.
this
Perfect.
is it when all said and done,
Beautiful. That's it,
you
bro.
know.
Done. Beautiful.
But yeah, so we've got 3 minutes, so it's an hour and a half. So last
Beautiful.
3 minutes, call it then. Yeah, so it's been quite a show. A lot of different things.
Yeah.
You know, sort of like brought forward. You know,
Yeah.
sort of like.
Someone wrote great answer. Thank you. Yeah, you're very welcome. I'm glad people are interacting and asking, because this stuff, hearing other people's stories, you
Yeah,
know how it is.
Sandra. Hi, mate. Yeah.
It can change your life, you know, hearing these things and connecting with people that are going through it. You and I have been through this. We've talked about it. We've been in the limelight, the spotlight publicly. You know what I mean? That's a whole different world, man. It's a whole different thing, but I don't regret it. You know what I mean? Because I've met
No.
amazing people, and I love meeting people that are just getting into this, that haven't gone public, that are thinking about it. Oh, should I come forward? That's a personal choice. I don't tell
Yeah.
anyone to do that. That's a life-changing choice. You know what that's like. It's
Well,
a big game changer, man. Yeah.
this is it.
And there's no
Yeah. I
going back.
mean,
You take the genie out of the
this is
bottle.
once
That's
you've
it.
let the genie out of the bottle.
Ooh,
You know
that's
what I
it.
mean?
It's done.
It's like
It's a
you've
wrap.
got to be
That's it.
prepared. I mean, sort
Yeah.
of like, you know, I've had things I won't even go down that avenue.
Oh
You
God,
know?
me too. It's so strange, so bizarre. And then the people, it's not people that ask me, what about evil aliens and this and that? I said, I know there's evil humans that are here on Earth right now. Okay. I'm very concerned about them, number one, right? The way we treat each other. That's got to change. And then
Yeah.
we could eventually change that. But we got to take care of planet Earth.
Yeah.
Have to.
Yeah. There's a lot of problems. A lot of problems with what's going on with abductions, and believe me, you know,
Yeah.
sort of like
Yeah.
I don't think that these things are here for any good, because for one thing, you can't turn around and say, "Oh well, they do this, they do that." Look, if you were good, you could stop it tomorrow. It's like
That's
saying,
right.
"Oh well, look, you know, there's the Nazis and there's this and there's that, and at the end of the day, we could stop it, or we could watch and we could stop it.
Right.
If you've got the
Right.
technology, stop it, because
That's
you're
right.
helping millions of people get murdered. If you've got the
Right.
capability to do this, well, show it then. Show
That's
it.
it.
Stop it.
And for people that are listening they claim to be light workers, and they have special powers or whatever, go do that. Show me. Stop it. Go and do that then. If you could do this, or you could remote view and see the future, well, then go and tell me what's going to happen, and go make something. Don't talk about it. I want to see it. You know what I mean? Show me.
You know something? Yeah, you just hit the nail on the head there. You have just hit the nail on the head. So, right, you'll have to come on again. You'll have to come on
Definitely.
and
Yeah,
and
definitely.
show the video footage as well and stuff. I'll
sure.
get this eventually. I'll get this working because it hasn't been working for the past week, and
Cool.
I got act and stuff, and then it's an ongoing thing. It's people playing cat and mouse.
Well, yeah,
And
man, it was great. Thank you for having me on, man. Thank you very much.
You're
Thanks
quite
everyone
welcome.
that commented.
So yeah, and you're quite welcome for coming on the show. It has been fantastic, and thanks
Great.
again for everybody for watching and listening and asking questions.
Yes,
and well, Andrew will have to come on it again. And wow, you know, it's been quite amazing. It really has, and you've told me some stuff, and I want to find out more.
Absolutely, Russ. Thank you once again, man. Anyone needs me, they notify me.
Right,
No
and
problem.
I'll put it out after the show as well. And like I say, thanks for coming on the show, Andrew. And
anytime.
that has been real. I'm still thinking about stuff now as we're talking. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
right then,
definitely, man. We'll do part 2 for sure.
Definitely right. So I'll just say thanks again, Andrew, and I'll just stop recording there.